Hello everyone! This hour on Verbling, the next in my Great Short Stories series. We're on Great Short Story number 22, Two Stories by Jane Bowl. This is our second story. This is Everything is Nice. You probably have heard of Paul Bowles, the composer and the writer, but what about Jane, the inspiration for some of his great literary works and characters? She was also a writer too. Some compare her in magnitude to great writers, great modernist writers like Virginia Woolf and others, and Mansfield. But she's been a neglected voice in American literature, and I think it's good that we try to give her some attention and appreciation and try to hear from a voice that we don't normally hear from. Well, that's a little bit about the class. Here's a bit about me. I'm John Eric, your Verbling teacher for this hour. I'm an American teacher from New York, hanging out in Lisbon, Portugal to bring you this class. By the way, here are 3 quick rules to help you participate. Don't forget to turn off, tune in, and open up, which means turn off your microphone when you're not speaking so we can keep the classroom quiet. Also, tune in to the new words you're learning when you are speaking and try to use them as actively as you can so that I can correct you. Finally, open up to your classmates. Relax and have fun. We're all here to learn, and this is a safe and respectful place to practice your English. And that is a little bit about me. Okay, on your screen now, you can see the icon or the graphic for 2 by Jane Bowles. So what I'm going to do is give you the story in the chat window as always, and I'll also put it inside here. Give me just a second and I'll paste it on the inside as well. There we go. Okay, so when you open it up, you'll see that graphic and you know that you've got the right document. You can open it up or you can download it. So let's say a quick hello to Igor and his cat. Hello, Igor.
Hello. How are you doing?
I'm all right. And what is your cat's name?
The name is Prince.
Oh, you told me that. Yeah. I see. I should have remembered. Prince. Prince
That's
is
no
the name of the
problem.
cat.
Yeah, the cat is not so important to remember his name.
It's important to me.
Just a cat.
Not just a cat. Don't say that. Cats are very important. So let me see. Igor, did you read the short story that we did last Thursday? Were you in the class? I can't remember.
I wasn't.
Okay. So it's very short, so you can read it on your own. It's in the same document. It's the second one. In the last class, we read a short story, which I know a little bit more about it, a tiny bit more about this one because I've read a little bit about Jane Bowles. So it seems like it was sort of taken out of her diary, and it feels like part of something bigger. Although, I think she published it the way it was. So that's the story we read last week, and I think you can see it. Give me a second. I'll find the page. 1 second. There you go. It's this one, the Iron Table. We read that last week. Let's see. And Araceli, were you in the class last Thursday? I don't think you were.
No, I wasn't.
Okay, fine. So I'll do a quick overview of that short story because it'll help us as we read the new one. So I'll give you a little bit of background. Let's say hello to oops, I can't see the name there. Is it Ale or Ali? Hello? Is it Ale or next to Araceli? Who is that? The person with the blue background. Okay. He's not going to answer. Oh, there we go. I hear something.
Ale.
It looks like ale, but I don't think it is. I'll write a little note. Hello, Ale. Whoops. That isn't working. And he's gone. He or she. See, whenever I try to be friendly, people just disappear. Okay. Well, anyway. So, he's back. Okay, when you get your microphone working, just say a quick hello. So here's what I'm going to do. Here's a quick summary of the first short story we read by Jane Bowles. It's called The Iron Table, and you can see the first paragraph on your screen. It's kind of important because it sets the tone. So let me just read the first paragraph, and then we'll talk about what happens in the story. It says, they sat in the sun looking over a big new boulevard. The waiter had dragged an old iron table around from the other side of the hotel and set it down on the cement near a half-empty flower bed. A string stretched between the stakes separated the hotel grounds from the sidewalk. A few of the guests staying at the hotel sat in the sun. The town was not a tourist center, and not many Anglo-Saxons came. Most of the guests were Spanish. So, in that introduction, you have a lot of information, and you also have a kind of a tone for the story. Do you know what I mean by tone? Do you know what the word tone means? What do you think? Araceli? Igor? Tone?
I'm not sure.
Is it about the mood of the story?
The mood. Right. Does that make sense, Araceli? The mood?
Yes, the tone. Yeah, like for music or like.
Yeah. Yeah, like
spelled
music.
T-O-N-I-E. Okay.
T-O-N-E, right. So
Yeah.
the tone in music can be high or can be low, and it gives you a certain feeling, right? So it's the same idea here. It's the feeling, the mood, the feeling that you get. Okay? So we're not going to read the story again. We're going to do the new one. But just based on that first paragraph, the one I just read, how would you describe the tone, the mood?
Hi everyone, can you hear me?
Hello, is that Ali?
Yes, I am Ale from Italy. Hi teachers. Hi everyone.
Okay, very good. You got your microphone working.
Yes.
Okay. So what we're going to be doing is reading the second short story by Jane Bowles. We're going to read it together. And as an introduction, we're going to talk a little bit about the first short story. Okay, Ale? So we did this last week, so we're going to do a little review.
Yes. I must read the second paragraph.
No. We're going to read together. Don't worry. We're going to read together.
Okay, yes, okay.
John, I feel the very dark atmosphere from the beginning of this story.
Dark? Okay, good. So in the first paragraph, what gives you that feeling?
Feeling with that something something undecided to something heavy atmosphere, something annoying, because they are now in the unfamiliar city, unfamiliar country, so.
Right. So we know that they're tourists, and they're at a hotel, and part of the heaviness is in the not the first line, but in the second line. From the moment the waiter drags over an iron table, right, it kind of suggests that these people who are not part of the surrounding, right, they're not part of the surrounding, and they have this heavy baggage, this heavy luggage. Okay, the iron table is not really luggage, but what I'm saying is we associate something really heavy with them. And the mood feels a little heavy, in a way. Something isn't said. Also, remember that line that there's a string stretched between the stakes. A string stretched between the stakes separated the hotel from the sidewalk. So the people in the hotel, like them, the man and the woman, are also somehow separate from everyone else in the area. They're somehow removed or different. Part of the thing that's different is that they're Western, and we know that these people are in a foreign place. In fact, they're probably in Morocco, because I know about the biography of the Bowleses. So they're probably in Morocco or North Africa somewhere. But we get the clue that they are because most of the people there are Spanish in the hotel, and as we read, we know that the population is Muslim. So actually, we get that later on in the story. All right, very good. By the way, Yuki, so you were here in the last class. This story is almost like a fragment of something bigger. What actually happens in the story?
It's a fragment of the famous novel Sheltering Sky. Yeah?
No, it's not a fragment of Sheltering Sky. No. That was written by Paul Bowles, and this is written by his wife, Jane Bowles. But
Jane Bowles.
Yeah.
His wife wrote.
Yeah. So the fragment, the Sheltering Sky, in the Sheltering Sky, Jane Bowles is a character, right? So what's interesting is we can see the same events, but this time from her point of view, the actual person in real life, from his wife's point of view. So tell me, Yuki.
As I remembered, the wife has died before the husband. Yeah, she was died. I think 50 years maybe.
Oh, in real life, you mean?
Yes. They moved to the Morocco. Yeah. Firstly, husband come to Morocco, and after wife followed.
In real life, she died in 1973, and he died in 1999. So she died a bit young, well, quite young. She died at middle age, but she had a pretty tough life. So
they are very unique couple. Yeah, they are very unique couple. They have their own. Friends, how to say, sexual friends, homosexual friends, yeah.
They were writing about living alternative lifestyles in every sense at a time when no one else talked about it, and they were writing about it in the 1940s and 50s, right? So they wrote about their homosexual encounters. They had lovers who were the same sex, but they were married. They also wrote about being in places that Western people never went to and couldn't get to. I mean, the people didn't have commercial air travel, not like we do today. So they really were going places where Western society had no real contact with, right? So everything about them was about, different, exploring the world, getting away from modern life or trying to get a perspective on it. So, yeah, they were quite unusual. Just a quick question. So, Igor Araceli, you were here in the beginning of class, and Ali as well. What's your impression based on just the very first paragraph? So we know that the mood is maybe a little heavy. We've got this iron table. Any other impressions just from the first paragraph of the story? Igor Araceli, Ale?
I think it looks a little bit empty. Like
that's interesting.
Half-empty flower bed and iron table. It creates a sense of poverty around.
Yeah, and space as well.
Yeah.
I think that, and if you read this story, I think that's true. There's a big empty space between the two characters, as well as between them and the rest of the like society that they're in, because they're foreigners, they're outsiders. Well, in the story, not much happens. It's a conversation, and and it's all sort of implied. So I'll let you read it on your own, and we can compare these after we read the next story. But read it on your own, because it's quite short, just 2.5 pages or something. Let's get started with our story for today. So we're going to go up to page, I think it's 2. Yeah, we're going to go up to the second page. Everything is nice. And we're going to read the second short story by Jane Bowles. Okay? Igor, why don't you get us started here?
Okay. Everything is Nice by Jane Bowles or Bowles.
Bowles, like a bowl of cereal. Jane
Yes.
Bowles.
Bowles. The high street in the blue Muslim town skirted the edge of a cliff. She walked over the thick protecting wall and looked down. The tide was out, and the flat, dirty rocks below were swarming with skinny boys. A Muslim woman came up to the blue wall and stood next to her, raising her hip with the basket she was carrying. She pretended not to notice her, and kept her eyes fixed on a wild duck.
A white dog.
On a white duck that had just slipped down the side of a rock and plunged into a crater of sea water. The sound of its bark was ear-splitting. Then the woman jabbed the basket firmly into her ribs, and she looked up.
So, once again, it's a very striking opening paragraph. What's the mood? What do you think, Igor?
Well, the mood is a little bit, I don't know, it's like it's some kind of a haste.
Some kind of?
Of a haste.
Haste, being in a hurry, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay. And what else strikes you about the first paragraph? Araceli, any impressions?
I don't know. It's like, yeah, I feel like a heavy atmosphere. And yes, it's obvious that the main character is not is a foreigner there.
She's a
So
foreigner as well,
this,
right?
yeah. So the woman is just like not accepting her or just ignoring her at the beginning, and I don't know. That doesn't feel very comfortable, maybe.
Okay. Okay, yeah, we'll find out more in just a minute. By the way, Ale, if you have any questions about the vocabulary, just ask, okay? Ale, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, okay, fantastic. So if there's any questions, just ask. We'll all get a chance to read. Yuki, what do you think about the
Okay.
colors so far? I think it's very striking. I noticed the colors right away. What do you think about the use of color in the first paragraph, Yuki?
I can imagine the dark color from the beginning of the story. It's a kind of color is kind of red, kind of red metal color.
What is red?
Red with metal.
Yeah,
Red.
but what is red? What is red?
Red is one of metals. It's very heavy and soft metal. Lead.
Oh, lead. Sorry, lead. Got it. Got it.
No red.
Got it. But where do you see the lead? I didn't understand that.
I mean the gray color.
Oh, the color. Okay, fine.
Yes.
Well, one thing that strikes me is that she describes the Muslim town as blue, and then we also see a white dog. So we've got blue and white.
Yes,
And-
everyone can imagine the blue and white color from the Morocco city. Muslim.
Yeah, we don't know exactly where.
I think it's I don't know. I think it's I think after indicate that city is Monaco. Yeah,
Is
Morocco.
where?
Morocco.
Oh, I don't
Morocco.
know. I don't know. I would probably because that's where they lived. Probably it is, but we don't know. But it's interesting that it's
Because
blue.
Jane Bowles lived in Tangier, Morocco, in her late life for a long time until her death. So I think this view in this story is very similar to that of Tangier, Morocco.
Could be, yeah. Anyway, we get the colors blue and white, which for me stand out. But that's kind of, I mean, I've been to Morocco, I've been to Tangier, and I remember white walls, and and here in Portugal, some of the buildings or the houses are kind of similar. They look similar in the little villages. So for me, I can really picture it. So I can sort of see these white washed walls with big blue lines, like they kind of paint half the wall with blue. I don't know what she means by blue Muslim town, but the colors stand out for me. Anyway, that's why I brought it up. Okay, well, Yuki, why don't you continue, and we'll try to give everyone a chance to read. So why don't you take it from, give me a second here. Let me just select it. Why don't you take it from this part here, okay?
Okay. That one is
Oops, sorry. Go ahead.
porcupine.
Porcupine, yeah.
That one is a porcupine, said the woman, pointing to henna stained finger into the basket. This was true. A large dead porcupine lay there with a pair of new yellow socks folded on the top of it.
What's a porcupine, by the way?
I don't know.
Class, what's a porcupine?
I think it's an animal. It's like it
Yes,
looks like
it's a-
it has a lot of spikes.
It has spikes, right? You can't touch it, or it'll stab you. It's got spikes on its tail.
It has an ability to fire them.
I don't know about that, but it definitely has spikes. How do you say porcupine in Russian, Igor?
How do you say it?
Dikabras.
Is that it?
In,
Okay.
in Russian, Dikabras.
And how do you know that, Yuki?
Like a Yosh.
How do you know that, Yuki?
Because
He's in Russian. He's in Russia.
Russian is my second language. Okay. So I know. Now I know.
Не похож.
So
Okay, just wanted to clarify. And in Spanish, do you know what a porcupine is? And in Italian, do we know what that animal is, everyone? We're clear?
Yes. In Spanish it's puercoespín. Maybe in Portuguese it's similar.
Same thing.
Yeah, in Italian, porcospino.
Okay, good. So we know what we're talking about. Okay, keep going, Yuki.
And this was true. I'm sorry. She looked again at the woman. She was dressed in a hike and a
Hayek.
white hayak.
Yeah, that's it.
Hike.
I would say Hayek.
Hayak. She was dressed in a hayak and a white cloth covering the lower half of her face was loose, about to fall down. I am Zodelia, she announced in high voice, and you are Betsol's friend. The loose cloth slipped below her chin and hung there like a bib. She did not pull it up. You sit in her house and you sleep in her house and you eat in her house. The woman went on, and she nodded in agreement. your name is Jeannie, and you live in a hotel with other Nazarenes. How much does the hotel cost you? A leaf of bread shaped like a disc flopped onto the ground from inside the fold of the woman's hayak, and she did not have to answer her question. With some difficulty, the woman picked the loaf up and stuffed it in between the quills between the quills of the porcupine and the basket handle. Then she set the basket down on the top of the blue wall and turned to her with bright eyes. I'm the people in the hotel, she said. Watch me. She was pleased because she knew that woman who called herself Zadelia was about to present her with a little skirt. Little skit. With her with a little skit. It would be delightful to watch, since all the people of the town spoke and gesticulate.
Good, yeah, good. It's correct.
Correct. Gesticulated as though they had studied at the Comédie Française.
Comédie Française, the famous theater in Paris. So a skit is like a little improvised theater play. A skit, a short skit, right? What do you think about this encounter so far? What's going on? Let's just clarify what's actually happening. So she was at the wall of the blue Muslim town. She was looking down a wall, and what's happened so far? Who does she meet, Yuki? What's your impression?
She's a tourist, yeah?
Yeah. She lives in a hotel, right?
She lives in the hotel. She met her name is Zodelia, no?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and who is Zodelia? So her name is Jeannie. Her name is Jeannie, and the other woman is Zodelia. And who do you think Zodelia is? Who is she? What kind of person is she? What's your impression?
She come to the hotel, yeah, no,
Mm-hmm.
And she introduced herself, and she asked protagonist of this story Betosau's friends. So they have a common friend, yeah.
Seems like it. Yeah.
Yes.
Why is she? So she's carrying a dead porcupine. She's asking questions, and she asks this one question, which is kind of unusual.
And it seems to that protagonist of this story have lived in Betosau's house. Yeah.
It appears so. Yeah.
Yes.
So. What do you think about this question? Doesn't she ask her? She asks her how much she's paying for the hotel. How much does the hotel cost you? Can you imagine someone coming up that you never met and asking you that? What do you think about that? To me, that's pretty striking.
It's a very striking question. I think she hinted that maybe you live in another place. Maybe come here, come to us and live together. No?
I don't know. Maybe. I mean, when I was in Morocco, one time I was asking someone in a shop where they learned English, because I was saying, "Oh, your English is really good. Did you learn it here?" And they got so offended, this person got so offended with me, she basically kicked me out of the shop, and her brother came over and looked like there was going to be a fight. And all I did was compliment her on her English, but I didn't ask in the right way. She said, "It's none of your business." So I have no idea why that was offensive, but I didn't want to know about her life. I was just trying to say that, oh, I was surprised. Her English was really perfect, it was really good. So I was trying to compliment her. And then here in this story, one of the locals goes up to the Western woman and asks her how much she's paying for the hotel. So yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe that's a hint.
Sounds brutal. Yeah.
It sounds a little, yeah, it sounds a little direct. But maybe she's trying to give her a hint that she could stay cheaper with them, or she could stay with them, whoever they are. Okay, so let's keep the mysterious Zedelia in mind and this little skit in mind. Araceli, why don't you pick it up after Comedy Francaise over here, okay?
Yes, the people in the hotel, Zedelia announced, formally beginning her skit. I am the people in the hotel. Goodbye, Jeannie. Goodbye. Where are you going? I am going to a Muslim house to visit my Muslim friends, Betsoul and her family. I will sit in a Muslim room and eat Muslim food and sleep on a Muslim bed. Jeannie, when will you come back to us in the hotel and sleep in your own room? I will come back to you in 3 days. I will come back and sit in a Nazarene room and eat Nazarene food and sleep on a Nazarene bed. I will spend half the week with Muslim friends and half with Nazarenes. The woman's voice had a triumphant ring as she finished her sentence. Then, without announcing the end of the sketch, she walked over to the wall and put one arm around her basket. Down below, just at the edge of the cliff's shadow.
I think you've
Sorry.
got
A Muslim? Yeah.
I think you've got an audience
Okay.
on your side.
Yeah. Sorry.
Very-
I can't go on. Sorry.
So, so she's performing this little skit. What do you think about this skit? Is she making fun of Janie? Is Zedelia making fun of her? What do you think, class? Hello? Yes? No?
Yes.
Do you think she's making fun of her? What's the purpose? Why is she performing like this?
I don't know. I think she is proud of being Muslim, and she is one of the Nazarene.
Who is one of the Nazarenes?
I don't know. I think
Well,
Zedelia.
let's clarify what a Nazarene is. So these people, probably in Morocco or North Africa, they're referring to them as Nazarenes. Well, Nazarenes are people from Nazareth, right?
Yes,
Nazareth.
yes.
Nazareth is in Israel. Well, it used to be Palestine, right? So Nazarene is a word for people who are what? They're trying to show a separation between the Muslim people and whom?
They are Nazarene. Nazarene is appeared in the Bible, so I think they are Christian. Yeah?
Exactly. So that's her way. That's her way of talking about Christians.
Sorry, I have mistaked. I see now.
Right? So that's the local people's way of trying to say, you're not one of us. You're a Nazarene. You're one of those Christians. One of the invaders.
So Muslim people usually don't live with Nazarenes.
Apparently, yeah,
yes,
especially at the time when
because they have different beliefs, different religion. So
and she's making fun of her too, because she's imagining in the little sketch, in the little play, of what the people in the hotel would say to her if she leaves. You know, Jeannie, when will you come back and sleep in your own room? So it's kind of a strange little. She's kind of making fun of her somehow, and making fun of the Nazarenes, the Westerners. Okay, let me give you a chance to read as well, Ale. So why don't you pick it up where she left off, here and on the next page. Can you see where we are in blue?
Okay. Down below, just at the edge of the cliff shadow,
In the
Muslim
cliff's shadow.
A Muslim woman was seated on a rock, washing her legs in one of the holes filled with sea water. Her hair was piled on her lap.
Was piled on. Repeat, piled.
Piled on her lap, and she was huddled over it, examining her feet. "She's looking at the ocean," said Zodelia.
Wait,
She was
ocean. Repeat, ocean.
Ocean.
There you go.
"She's looking at the ocean," said Zodelia. She was not looking at the ocean. With her head down and the mass of cloth in her lap, she could not possibly have seen it. She would have had to straighten up and turn around.
Keep going.
I don't know I don't see another page.
You will in a second.
Yes. Okay. "She is not looking at the ocean," she said. "She is looking at the ocean," Zodelia repeated, as if she had not spoken. She decided to change the subject. "Why do you have a porcupine with you?"
Repeat,
she asked.
porcupine. Porcupine.
"Porcupine with you?"
Good.
Yes. Okay. She asked her.
Although.
Can you repeat, please?
Although. Good.
She knew that some of the Muslim, particularly the country people, enjoyed eating them. It is a present for my aunt. Do you like it?" "Yes," she said. "I like porcupines. I like big porcupines, and the little ones too." Zodelia seemed bewildered and then bored, and she decided she had somehow ruined the conversation by mentioning small porcupines.
What do you think about this?
Word.
It's a difficult word. Remember, when you see a U, it's not
U,
yes, but it's U. Like, so not porcupine, but porcupine.
I don't remember you when I speak. I pronounce this word.
No problem. So, Ale, what do you think about this conversation so far? So this strange woman has come up to our Nazarene, our Westerner, and she's performed a little skit, and then she starts to have the conversation. What do you think about the conversation? What do you think's going on so far?
And the two different minds on what she was looking. Yes, because one thing that she was looking the ocean, and another, Zodelia, repeat that she is not looking the ocean.
Yeah, they're looking down, because it's here down below at the edge of the cliff. So they're on top of the cliff, and they're looking down, they can see a Muslim woman on a rock washing one of her legs, right? And as you
Yes.
know, they wear clothes in the conservative societies, and this is probably in the 1950s, so this is a long time ago. They had to cover their bodies. They were completely covered, even their faces. So they're both looking down at a woman who's basically kind of naked, right? So it's an interesting moment, to say the least. And they're not talking about the fact that she doesn't have clothes on. They're talking about what she's doing. Oh, she's looking at the ocean. She couldn't possibly be looking at the ocean. So it seems to suggest a lot more. That's all I'll say about that. What do you think's going to happen, Ale, after this conversation?
I don't know. I don't understand what there are two different different version. I trying to understand this.
Well, you're going to understand by making guesses too, right? So no one knows.
Yeah.
Even me as a native speaker, I don't know what's going on either. I'm just looking at the description and making some guesses as I go along. So that's a good way to figure things out too. So far, based on what happened, what do you think is going to happen? Are these women going to continue talking? Is there going to be a conflict? Are they going to separate? What do you think is going to happen next? Make an educated guess, Ale.
I don't know. I'm thinking.
All right. You think for a minute. You think for a minute, and we'll come back to you. Okay.
Okay.
So I think we're back to Igor. Can you pick it up from this one about your mother?
Okay. Where's your mother? Zadela said at length. My mother is in her country, in her own house, she said automatically. She had answered the question 100 times. Why don't you write her a letter and tell her to come here? You can take her on a promenade and show her the ocean. After that, she can go back to her own country and sit in her house.
There you go.
She picked up her basket and adjusted the strip of cloth over her mouth. Would you like to go to a wedding? She asked her. She said she would love to go to a wedding, and they started off down the crooked blue street, heading into the wind. As they passed a small shop, Zadela stopped. Stand here, she said. I want to buy something. After studying the display for a minute or two, Zadela poked her and pointed to some cakes inside a square box with glass sides. Nice, she asked her, or not nice? The cakes were dusty and coated with a thin, ugly colored icing. They were called galetas Ortiz.
Can you see?
Uh-huh. They are very nice, she replied, and bought her a dozen of them. Zadela thanked her briefly, and they walked on. Presently they turned off the street into a narrow alley and started downhill. Soon Zadela stopped at a door on the right and lifted the heavy brass knocker in the form of a fist. The wedding is here, she said to her. The wedding is here, she said to her. Zadela shook her head and looked grave. There is no wedding here, she said.
Igor, there's no wedding here. What's going on?
There is no wedding here, she said.
What's going on? If there's no wedding, where are they?
I have no idea what's going on there. I really don't have the foggiest idea about that. It's some kind of strange skit to this. I don't know.
It's true. It's true. What do you think about? Here's something that strikes me. When you were reading and we got to the question she asked her.
What strikes me that it's I don't know. The situation seems very weird, and it's like
Very weird. Yeah.
people with two different mindsets. They just don't understand each other, but still go along with doing what they're doing. I don't know.
Why did they? Why does the Westerner? Why does Jeannie go along with her then? Why does she? It's a
Well,
good point. They're so different. So why does she follow her?
I think she wants to understand her. I don't know, but
Yeah.
this Muslim woman, she seems a little bit, rude to her. Like
She says, "Stand
she-
here."
she makes fun of her, and she looks down on her, I think.
In a funny way. She's very abrupt. Very abrupt.
And
Kind of a little rude.
and also she fished her out for, for buying some cookies to her.
Hey, cookies are good. Why not? Let me ask you a question though. Think about what Jeannie is used to. Think about the kind of people that she's used to. So it seems a little rude the way the woman is speaking to her, and yet she follows her. And maybe you're right. Maybe she's curious and wants to find out more. But what kind of people do you think she's used to hanging around with? Why would she be sort of attracted to this strange woman who's being
Wow.
very
Well, first of all, she's already in a Muslim country.
right? Of course.
As a tourist, and if you're a tourist, you want to know more about the place you are at.
Exactly.
So I think that's why she's tagging along that woman.
And also think about the narrative too. They're both looking down at a cliff at a woman who's bathing, and we can see her naked legs. They don't discuss that. They talk about whether or not she's looking at the ocean. So it's
Well,
something that's unstated.
I think that's because for the Muslim woman, that scene was pretty average. Something's really common. But
Okay.
for a Westerner, it might seem strange.
Could be. And also, maybe she doesn't want to mention the fact that the woman is basically, she's not wearing clothes. I mean, she's wearing them, but she's kind of not. And it seems very suggestive to me. A strange, mysterious woman comes up to the Western woman and draws her away from the hotel, away from the things that she knows.
Yeah. By the way, why did she show her her face? I don't understand. Like, she stripped out her kayak.
Why did Zedelia show her face?
Yeah.
Yeah. She doesn't really, she's kind of allowing her to see her. Her veil is kind of hanging down. She's not really hiding her identity.
But
So it seems like an invitation to me.
well, as far as I know, Muslim women are not allowed to show their face, but maybe they're allowed to show their faces to other women. So maybe
Yeah.
that's
I think it's partly that, and partly that for me this is not an accident. I think that she's doing this. I think that she's maybe watched. My feeling is, I don't know, but my feeling is that she's watched Jeannie and she knows her.
she's leading her to a trap.
Maybe. Let's find out. Yuki, want to pick it up from here? A child?
Okay. A child opened the door and quickly hid behind it, covering her face. She followed Zodelia across the black and white tile floor of the closed patio.
Wait, patio.
Closed patio. The wall were washed in blue, and the cold light shone through the broken panes of glass far above their heads. There were doors on each side of the patio. Outside of them, barring the threshold, was a row of pointed slippers. Zodelia stepped out of her own shoes and set them down near the others.
By the way, threshold, that's a big word. Do you know what that means?
Threshold is between door sill, yeah?
Yeah, a door, basically. A door or an entrance.
Yes, entrance to a room. Okay.
Keep going.
Okay. She stood behind Zodelia and began to take off her own. Sit, she told her, and she obeyed. Then, without further comment, she walked off, heading for a far end of the room, because her eyes had not grown used to dimness. She had the impression of a figure disappearing down a long corridor. Then she began to see the glass bars of a bed growing weakly in the darkness. Only a few feet away, in the middle of the carpet, sat an old lady in a dress made of green and purple cotton fabric. Through the many rents in the material, she could see the printed cotton dress and the tan sweater underneath. Across the room, several women sat along another mattress, and further along the mattress, 3 babies were sleeping in a row, each one close against the wall, with its head resting on the fancy cushion. "It is nice here." It was Zodelia, who had returned without her haik. Her black crepe European dress hung unveiled down to her ankles, almost grazing her bare feet. The hem was lopsided. "It is nice here," he asked again,
Crouching?
crouching on her haunches in front of her and pointing at the old woman. "That one is Tatum." That one is Tatum, she said. The old lady plunged both hands into a bowl of raw chopped meat and began shaping the stuff into little balls.
Let me just ask you, crouching on her haunches, what does that remind you of? People don't really have haunches, right? But animals have haunches. So what does that bring an image to mind for you?
I have an image of a very primitive and it looks like primitive people, primitive people dying in the depths of the jungle. Primitive people eating very meat.
Primitive people
in primitive way. I don't know.
So if we say, what was that line again? If we say crouching on her haunches, you're sort of squatting down. You're not sitting, but you're not standing. Your knees are bent, and you're kind of resting in that position. And they're going about their business. A bunch of women, a bunch of babies, and they're making some kind of food, I guess. So you got raw meat in a bowl. There's no kitchen though.
That kind of dining way is completely differ from Europeans' way. That of Europeans. So I think Jenny was very surprised, and it is difficult to get used to.
And where do you think she is? They were going to go to a wedding, and then when they get to the door and she walks in, she's in this dark room. Where do you think she's being brought, if you had to make a guess, Yuki? Where do you
Sorry.
think she's being brought?
Uh,
There's no wedding here that I see, is there? She said, "Oh, you want to come to a wedding?" And they go to
I
this
think it's
dark room.
it's a habit of Nazarene people. Yeah? No?
It's a
No.
what?
It's a custom of Nazarenes. No?
A
No.
custom?
Yes, custom habit.
What is a habit? I didn't understand. What's a habit?
I imagine the day of a special day for them. It's a festival, kind of festival. They paint the door with blood to playing a demon pass away from through their houses. No.
Okay.
No, I'm sorry.
I'm not sure I understand. The Nazarenes are the
I
Western
go
people.
another track maybe.
Maybe. The Nazarenes are the Christians. So Jeannie is a Nazarene. The Muslim people, the local people, is the Delia and these women in the room.
Yes. Sorry, maybe.
Right.
So very. I have a very primitive image. They just maybe they kill animals there.
Ah, okay. Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
So Janie saw the blood there. No.
Maybe. Where's the blood, though? Where are you seeing that? Which paragraph do you see the blood? Because I see raw meat, but I don't remember blood. Maybe you're right. Maybe I missed it. Where is it? Which paragraph on the page? Okay.
Yes.
No, I think they're just preparing food, and she's getting used to this dark space, and she doesn't really know where she is, I have a feeling. Because Zedelia mentioned a wedding, but there doesn't seem to be any wedding. So instead she brings her to some place. Let's see. We've got just enough time to read a little bit more. Araceli, I'm sorry. Is your 4-year-old going to allow you to read, or?
Yeah,
Okay,
I think he will.
Okay.
Okay. Maybe he will turn up, but I don't think so.
All right.
Okay.
I think we have time for one more section before we run out of time. So keep going from page, whatever this is, page 6.
Tetum, echoed the ladies on the mattress. This Nazarene, said Sodelia, gesturing in her direction, spends half her time in a Muslim house with Muslim friends and the other half in a Nazarene hotel with other Nazarenes.
Ah, so Zedelia has been watching her.
Yeah. That's nice, said the woman opposite. Half with Muslim friends and half with Nazarenes. The old lady looked very stern. She noticed that her bony cheeks were tattooed with tiny blue crosses. Why? Asked the old lady abruptly in a deep voice. Why does she spend half her time with Muslim friends and half with Nazarenes? She fixed her eye on Sodelia, never ceasing to shape the meat with her swift fingers. Now she saw that her knuckles were also tattooed with blue crosses. Sodelia stared back at her stupidly. I don't know why, she said, shrugging one fat shoulder. It was clear that the picture she had been painting for them had suddenly lost all its charm for her. Is she crazy? The old lady asked. No, Sodelia answered listlessly. She's not crazy. There were shrieks of laughter from the mattress. The old lady fastened her sharp eyes on the visitor, and she saw that they were heavily outlined in black. "Where is your husband?" she demanded.
Of course.
Maybe with her mother.
Maybe.
"He's traveling in the desert." "Selling things," Sodelia put in. This was the popular explanation for her husband's trips. She did not try to contradict it. "Where is your mother?" the old lady asked. "My mother is in our country in her own house."
Let's see. We're kind of at the end of class. We've got to stop here. So let me just see how much we have left. 1 second. This is page 7. Hold on. Page 8. 2, page 9. So we've got 3 pages left, but it's pretty short. But I've got to stop because I have another class. So here's what we're going to do. Let me turn on my camera. There you go. So I'd like you to finish. It's 3 pages, but it's actually very short. I'd like you to finish the story on your own, and I don't have classes at the regular time this week for some strange reason. They're a little bit later in the day, but I'm pretty sure I scheduled the next class. Let me just check. I'll give you the time of the day. I'm pretty sure I scheduled it for Thursday. Yeah, okay. The next class I was only able to schedule at 2 GMT on Thursday. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hours from now, but on Thursday. Can the 3 of you be there at that time? Because that's the only time that I had this week.
So it's basically in 5 hours.
In 5 hours from now, on Thursday. On Thursday, not today. On Thursday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I think I can join the class.
Okay, so
I'm not gonna. I won't be able to join you because I will be at work. I will be at work.
You'll be what?
I will be at work.
Oh, you'll be at work. Well, it's the only time that I could get this week. For some reason, the schedule is totally different. I don't know what's going on. Is that okay if I have the class on Thursday, Igor?
No, I have no trouble with that.
Well, when you're at work, just turn on Verbling and watch the class and write in the chat window, okay?
Okay.
And ignore whatever else you have to do. You work in IT. They don't care if you're doing something online. It's normal. They like that kind of thing. So
I
just
know.
take an hour and we'll finish.
That's just sometimes I really have to do something. That's why I don't know.
Yeah, but not on Thursday. You don't have to do anything on Thursday.
Okay,
So,
if I have some spare time at work, I will be there.
okay. Finish the story on your own. On Thursday, we're going to compare the 2 stories and try to figure out what's going on below the surface, because everything is kind of hinted at. There's a lot of description, but there seems to be a lot going on that isn't mentioned, and she seems to be a master of this kind of subtlety. So it's very interesting, everything she doesn't say. And I'll share a little bit of her diary, which will give you a context, because a lot of these things were written about in her diary, and you can kind of compare what she wrote about for herself and what she actually published, give you another sense of the themes that she was talking about. Okay? So we'll do that on Thursday at, what time did I say it was? At 2 GMT. Okay? 2 London time. All right. So, read on.
Are 2 stories connected in some way?
Well, it's all autobiographical. She's the character in both. In the first story, there is a connection. In the first story, they're talking before her husband's trying to get her to go to the desert.
Yes.
In the second story, he's already gone, and she's been left alone.
I see.
So, I don't know about the time period between the 2, but there does seem to be a connection.
To desert, yeah.
Seems to be that way, yeah.
The story is based on real real events.
It's taken directly out of her personal diary and fictionalized. Yeah.
How do you
So
call that? Memoir.
yeah, it's fiction though. It's not a memoir because her name isn't Jane. It's Jeannie. So she fictionalized it. But yeah, it's autobiographical. We call this confessional writing, from the confessional school, which was really big in the 50s and 60s. Confessional writing, maybe even earlier, actually.
Have you seen the film Sheltering Sky, Igor? This story is based on, the film is based on this story.
I see.
Well, the film is based on his version, on his novel.
Her husband's history, yeah?
Yeah, exactly.
Paul Ball's story, Sheltering Sky.
Okay, so we'll meet again at 2 o'clock on Thursday, and we'll discuss both stories. Try to finish reading this one on your own, and we're just going to look at some excerpts of it and talk about both of them. Okay? Have a great day, everyone. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye for now.
Soon.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.